Good morning. Thanks everybody for being here. Welcome. This is the Christ Haven for Children info session about some of our volunteer opportunities. So we're gonna just wait a little bit of time, let everybody get logged on and get settled, but we are super happy to have you here and look forward to starting in just maybe 30, 40 seconds or so. Thanks for being here. All right, well, we are going to get started. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Kelly Stresnick. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications here at Christ Haven. And I am going to share my screen with you and get our presentation started. All right. So again, like I mentioned, you are here for the advanced screening volunteer info session. So just a few housekeeping things before we get into the bulk of the presentation. This is being recorded. So everybody who's registered, those who are here live right now, and those who maybe couldn't be here live but signed up, they will receive a link to the recording. We'll also have that link available if as this goes on, if there's people you're thinking of like, oh, wow, I know someone who really might be interested or might be a good fit for one of these volunteer opportunities, we'll be able to send that link to anybody who's interested. And the purpose of today is really to give you just a high-level overview of these unique volunteer opportunities. Just because we've found over time that these volunteer opportunities are a little unique. They require a little bit more from the volunteer as far as screening, background check, training. So we wanted to really take some time to talk specifically about these. You'll hear there's lots of different ways to volunteer at Christ Haven, and not everything includes this type of kind of buy-in from the volunteer. But for those who are interested, we really wanted to take some time and kind of give that broad overview. So we are so glad you're here. And if you are new to Christ Haven or have been familiar with Christ Haven, we really appreciate you showing that interest. And it's very exciting to us as staff to get to possibly partner with y'all in the future. So we are going to get started here to give you a little overview of what we're going to talk about. We are going to try to make sure we are being very respectful of your time and be out of here within that hour. But within the hour, you're going to hear a little bit about Christ Haven. You're going to hear about a term that we talk a lot about called relational permanency that correlates to the types of volunteering that we're sharing about today. You're going to hear from one of our volunteer mentors and a little bit about his experience. And then we're going to get into the specifics. Some of our Christ Haven staff are going to share about mentors, house sponsors, babysitter, and backup caregivers. Then we'll follow up with kind of what the next step looks like if any of this is interesting to you, and then give you an opportunity to ask questions. Really hope we can answer any of the questions you have. If it's something that's very specific and unique to your situation, it might be better in a phone call or email afterwards. But if it's a question that seems to make sense that would benefit the whole group here, definitely type that in. Kind of at the bottom of your browser, you'll see a Q&A or a chat. You can put your question in there. And we are going to hold those questions till the end of the webinar and let our staff answer those. But we love when people ask questions because we want to make sure that we're sharing the information that's helpful to you. So who you'll hear from today, I introduced myself, Kelly Stresnick. The mentor you're going to hear from, his name is Matthew Tugman, wonderful mentor that's been with us for a while. And then our volunteer manager is Summer Woods. And then you're going to hear from our Vice President of Programs, Maddie Churchman. And then we have two senior case managers, Dan Franks and Jamie Kraft, who will be points of contact for some of this volunteering, and we'll be happy to answer questions for you at the end. So real quick, we have sometimes info sessions or tours that are an hour in themselves just talking about Christ Haven. So this is really kind of a high level overview for any of you that might be new to learning about Christ Haven. But we are a nonprofit here in the Keller Fort Worth area. This year, 2024, marks our 70th anniversary, which is an incredible milestone. If you're from this area at all and have been around for many years, 70 years ago, there wasn't much in this area, but we've really grown, and now we are this neighborhood of homes kind of right in the middle of several other local neighborhoods in that Keller, North Fort Worth area. So we're on about 50 acres, and we are classified as a children's home. But I tell people all the time that if you're ever here in person getting a tour, I hope that you leave thinking of us different than maybe what you thought of when you think of children's home, because we're really not what most people consider when they think children's home. We provide this family model of care within 7 different houses. You're going to listen to a video and watch a video in a minute that's going to give you a real look inside those houses and inside this neighborhood of homes to see. But I love that we have this heritage and this legacy in the local area of helping kids for 70 years now, which is really incredible. And we continue to grow, learn, and serve more families, which is a great thing, a great place to work at and to be part of. So on that note, I'm going to start a video. It's just a few minutes, and this is our CEO, Cassie McQuitty, giving a little peek into the 3 core programs that we do at Christ Haven. And then after that, we'll get into some of the specifics about volunteering. So we're going to go to that and hope my technology works well for us here.
Christ Haven for Children is a privately funded nonprofit organization providing a trauma-informed family model of care to displaced children, teens, and young adults. As a voluntary placement organization, we are an option outside of traditional foster care. Families and kids come to us for a variety of reasons, but typically there has been some type of abuse or neglect. Whether a child lives at Christ Haven for several months or several years, we utilize that time loving them as our own and instilling our core values of normalcy, dignity, and hope into their lives. When you drive through our 50-plus acres in the North Fort Worth Keller area, you'll see it looks like a neighborhood of homes, and that's intentional. On a typical day after school, you'll see kids playing basketball, running in and out of each other's houses, riding bikes. It really is that vision of what childhood looks like. Currently, we have 7 houses for our residential program for youth ages 0 to 18 years old. A married couple, who we call the house parents, live in each house and take care of around 5 to 7 kids. When a child comes to Christ Haven, we can't ever forget that they are facing one of the hardest days of their lives, where it might feel like everything was taken from them. We want them to have a space that is theirs, feels safe, and is comfortable. As part of our family model of care, we believe in the importance of sibling groups living together. Research shows there are tremendous lifelong benefits when displaced youth can live with their siblings. We also operate within a trauma-informed model of care, which means that we value the whole child. We care for their physical needs, but we also see the importance of caring for their emotional, academic, and spiritual needs as well. There isn't a one-size-fits-all formula for how we operate. With every child in our care, we work together on an individual plan. Our case managers, counselors, house parents, tutors, and our whole team work with each child to help guide decisions. That includes everything from their academic needs, mental health support, and making sure that they're able to participate in extracurricular activities, have friends over, and other important formative childhood experiences and memories. Often, people ask about a child's biological family and what that relationship looks like while the child lives at Christ Haven. Reunification is a priority as we work with families. We know that won't always happen, but for the families where it is a possibility, our team supports those plans, helping provide a sustainable path to reunification. After a teenager graduates from high school, they are able to move to our college and career readiness program for young adults ages 18 to 24 years old. We currently have 1 large house and 2 duplexes for the supervised independent living component of the program. The young adults living here have nearby support from their case manager as they explore secondary education, trade school, or full-time employment. We know not every young adult has the same path in mind for their future. This comprehensive program provides the platform for a successful launch into adulthood, all while they gain independence and maturity with someone cheering them along the way. Our third program is our Family Resource Center, or what we call the FRC. It provides us the opportunity to reach out beyond our campus to serve local families in need before they need to place a child outside of their home. That includes weekly meal boxes from our food pantry, counseling services, parenting and caregiver education, and case management. The heart of the program is to stand in the gap, helping families stay together. Over the years, Christ Haven has become a hub in our area, supporting displaced youth and young adults while also serving the local community. We continue to grow, serving more and more youth each year, providing normalcy, dignity, and hope in their lives. However long a family needs our support, we want a child's time at Christ Haven to be filled with healing and hope.
Gets me every time. I've seen it several times, and that cute little baby at the end. It's pretty great. So hopefully that gave you a good idea about Christ Haven. If this is brand new to you and you don't know much about us, we'll inside look into what we do. So one segue before you hear from one of our mentors, wanted to kind of frame. You heard about Christ Haven and what type of care we provide, and pretty soon you're going to hear about different ways to volunteer. So the segue to that is this term called relational permanency. And this is kind of why we set up these volunteer opportunities and why we feel so committed to making sure that there's people in the lives of the youth that live here. But relational permanency is kind of a newer way of thinking, and it's gaining traction in the child welfare space of recognizing that legal permanency for children is obviously important. Having that caregiver parent relationship, and when possible, having that go to this legal permanent situation. We know with the kids that come to Christ Haven, that doesn't always happen. And so if there's not going to be that legal permanency, what can we do from a relational permanency? And what that means is, as a child grows up, older teenager, young adults, if you think back to your early adulthood, when you're 18, 19, 20, maybe, who are the people in your lives that you could call for advice? Who are the people, if you had a flat tire, that you would be able to call and ask for help? Who are the people, if you had a job interview, you could ask them to look over your resume or maybe be a reference? That's what relational permanency is talking about. And we're committed to helping the youth that live here have those types of relationships, because we know once they leave Christ Haven, we want those relationships to be ongoing. So it could be some of the staff, it could be the house parents for sure. But how do we open up and try to set up and arrange so that they have some of those other people in their lives as well, who they can call on whenever they need that kind of expertise and life experience advice? Because we know, when any of us, if you were 18, 19, 20, we don't have it all figured out. And it takes having some of that guidance and expertise from people who have some, maybe a little bit more experience down the road to help out. So that just kind of frames, why we think these volunteer opportunities are so important, and really what the end goal is from these. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew Tugman, who is going to share a little bit about his experience as a volunteer mentor. And these 3 questions are kind of what's been shared with him ahead of time, and asking Matthew if he could take just a couple of minutes to talk about this. So Matthew, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Kelly. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Sounds great.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. My name's Matthew Tugbin, and I had the pleasure of starting to work with my mentee roughly 18 months ago. So coming up on a year and a half, coming up on 2 years, actually, this May or June. And the reason or what prompted me to get started with Christ Haven was about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife and I took a mission trip outside the country, faith-based mission trip, had a wonderful experience. It was a fantastic week in Guatemala and had an opportunity to meet many young children, teens in tough situations. And through that mission experience, as positive and as strong as it was, and we're still active with that group, not so much as far as the travel goes. Lots of things have happened since then. But what as strong as it was, the one piece that we wanted to continue was a little bit more of a routine, having more opportunity to impact young children's lives, teens' lives. And with us being at the stage in life that we are, we have 5 children, all of them are 20 plus. Sometimes one day sometimes we wake up on a Saturday and say, hey, what do you want to do today? What kinds of things do you want to do? And we both feel we got a lot of energy left in the tank and looking for ways to help and mentor other folks. I like mentoring people at work. One of the things I enjoy doing there, but also understanding that there are lots of kids, individuals out there that are in need of and wanting mentorship. So that was the impetus for us to get involved. And 18 months ago, when I started hanging out with, there was a lot of time playing basketball. So I think Kelly showed the white top, as they call it, up in the neighborhood. Spent a lot of time just getting to know him playing basketball, shooting hoops. And I'll be honest with you, the very first time that I spent time with him, I was nervous. I can only imagine that he was probably nervous as well, as there's some new individual coming to hang out with him. And through the course of the 18 months, we shoot a lot of baskets. We like to play pool. They have a pool table at the rec center there, which is fantastic to utilize. And the other thing that we've spent a lot of time doing is trying adventurous food excursions. So I've introduced him to a couple of new things. He's introduced me to a couple of new things. So one of the things that we actually want to do going forward is to cook some new things for his house. So we're going to surprise Dan at some point with some unique food experiences. And I'll share a quick story. We were getting together weekly right when we were starting to get together. And I think I even reached out to 1 or 2 individuals and said, I'm just not sure I'm getting through. I felt I was trying to just pull information out. And then all of a sudden, one day we were sitting together having lunch at McDonald's, which was his favorite place to go. And he said, hey, I've got an interview next week. What do you think I should do? So I tried to contain my excitement and emotions as best as I could as being asked that question. And then we had a nice conversation. We talked through it. And I left the meeting and said, these are the little moments like that are the reasons why. Number one, I felt as if I had earned his trust, him asking me that question. And then just little by little, more conversations would flow and would come up. So that's just a great memory that I have. And even more so over the last 6-7 months, that relationship has continued to grow. And then I think what I would say to someone that's thinking about doing this is it's a fantastic group. Everybody that's here on the phone today is just wonderful to work with, very accommodating to changing schedules and ensuring that the relationship between the mentor and the mentee is solid, but also there's other opportunities to participate as well. I had a great opportunity to go with the team in 2022 or was it 23? 22, I guess, on their summer vacation. So, and through that time, as much as I thought that I was giving to, well as to the other kids, one of the things that I really took from this is that as much as I felt that I was giving, I was receiving 10 times. Just the ability to spend time with them, more fulfillment on my side as, again, someone who has 5 kids, 20 plus older. There's some of those moments where you go, yeah, I remember doing that with, my biological child, many, many years ago. So great team, great kids. All of them are wonderful to hang out with. I've had an opportunity to hang out with almost all of them at some point or another, just for a little bit. And if you're on the edge about thinking, hey, should I do this or not? I'd say jump off that edge and jump right in. I think you'll be more than delighted with as much time as you give, and I'm confident that you'll receive more than you give unintentionally, but it's very fulfilling.
Awesome.
Kelly, back to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Matthew. We love having Matthew here as a mentor, and super fun just for us as staff to engage with him as well. And we know the kids, I see it, they really have a lot of trust and respect in him. So it's one of those things that takes time, like you said, but then you get those little moments of kind of going back to what we talked about, that relational permanency, and that's exactly what that is. So thank you so much for sharing, Matthew. We're going to kind of segue now into, this is getting into a little bit more of the specifics and the logistics about what these volunteer opportunities look like. Now, I will preface this by saying we're probably not going to answer every single kind of nitty-gritty question, because there are some things like logistically that go into doing some of these volunteers. So just a reminder, this is kind of high level overview, but by all means, if we're done here, you have questions, you're going to have email addresses, and you're going to have people that you can reach out to and ask some of those specific questions. But again, if you've got like a broad question just in general, please put those in the chat, and we want to make sure to be able to answer those at the end. So now I'm going to turn over to Summer Woods, who is our volunteer manager, and she's going to kind of give a little bit information about volunteering at Christ Haven.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you, Matthew, for sharing your experience. That is very similar to a lot of other people's opinions who come to volunteer at Christ Haven. So we do have two ways to get involved. We have our more basic screening and our advanced screening. Today, we are discussing advanced screening opportunities. We will go in depth, but it is that high level, as Kelly keeps reiterating. So if you do have questions, again, we'll have emails to get those more specific answers. But we did want to put our basic screening on here. So just in case maybe in your life, you're not quite at the mentorship program, but you still want to be involved, we do have other options. We call it our basic screening. As you'll see a little bit later, our advanced screening has things you need to do. As far as our basic screening, that's volunteering with Christ Haven, for our children, not with our children. So we have a food pantry on site that we can volunteer at. We've got a resale store. You can do a food drive, gift card drive, care package. We have a lot of those opportunities that are definitely for our children and help out tremendously, as well as our advanced screening. Babysitting, backup caregiver, mentor, house sponsor. We've got lots and lots of ways to be involved. So we are going to jump straight into talking about our advanced screening, starting off with babysitter. We have Maddie Churchman. She is our VP of programs. She is a delight. You guys will love hearing from her. She's going to discuss babysitter, ways to be involved with that, and a few more things. So Maddie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I did not even pay her to say that about me. Okay, so obviously, if you're here, you're probably a person who enjoys spending time investing in kids, spending time directly with kids. So if you're a mom, a dad, a grandparent, babysitting is a thing that really allows parents to kind of just take an exhale. So this, in our world here at Christ Haven, babysitting is what we consider like smaller amounts of time. So usually less than 6 hours. And it's really just allowing our house parents to be able to step away and have a date night, invest in their marriage, have a one-on-one with a kid in their house, whether that's their biological kid or a kid who just needs a little extra time. Sometimes there are family commitments, doctor's appointments, little kiddos who are not in school, and house parents need to get another kid at their house to an appointment where they can't bring a little with them. This is something that seems like a little thing, but makes a huge difference as far as everyone involved in the family unit. I was thinking about what's just a little story I could tell of how babysitters really do help serve the families here at Christ Haven. And the first one that came to my mind was Dan here. My friend Dan is a new grandpa again, and his daughter just had a precious little girl. And so his wife was up at the hospital with her, and Dan was home with the kids. And they were able to have someone come in so that Dan could step away and go up to the hospital, and the kids had some. And that's just one example of many. Sometimes it's there's a doctor's appointment that came up that has to happen right now. Sometimes it's a family thing. Sometimes there are churches that want to bless our house parents with a conference on a Friday night. Well, we have to be able to find coverage so that our house parents can go do those things. It is a volunteer position. Our babysitters are not paid. It's just people who really step out and are like, hey, I would love to serve in this way. So for that, we do require, as you can see on your screen, a background check and fingerprints, a waiver, and then a duty to report. Essentially, if you ever see any signs of abuse or neglect in a kiddo, you have a duty to report that. And then about 7 hours of online training. We can get into the details of what those trainings are, but it really is just something that will equip you to work with the kids that we serve here at Christ Haven. So all of the kids have experienced some form of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. And so we want you to be walking in with the tools that you need to really know how to care for these kids, because it might be a little different than your parenting experience so far. If you are interested in doing this, if it sounds like something that you would like to find out more about or step in and serve, please reach out to my friend Jamie here in the beautiful pink shirt. She is our go-to contact for this, and we can get you plugged in on that. And then I think I'm the next one too, right? Okay, good. And so if you were like, that sounds amazing, but I want to be able to invest even more time, that's what we call backup caregivers. In the foster care world, if you're plugged into that at all, they call it respite. But it's different lingo for our campus. And so this is really more time. So it's usually an overnight. For at least one night, it could be more. And so this, if I think of examples, we've had house parents who've had a baby. And so we've had backup caregivers who were lined up who said, hey, I can be here for, 4 weeks or whatever that is, while those house parents are really able to heal from the delivery of their baby and spend some time bonding before they come and step back in. We also have had house parents who unfortunately are caring for elderly parents. And there's a major surgery or a family member passes away, and backup caregivers are the difference between a house parent kind of scrambling and trying to figure out how can I be there for this important family event, and really being able to exhale knowing that someone that they know and trust and their kids know and trust can come in and spend time with them so the house parent can go and deal with whatever else is going on in their world. Because that stuff doesn't stop just because because you work at Christ Haven. And so we also, for this backup caregivers, it's a little bit more training, just like in the foster care world. If you're respite certified, it's a lot closer to a full certification to be a foster parent, or in our case, a house parent. So it is a paid position for us. And it is extensive screening and a lot more training. It is still very doable, and we walk you through that and help you get through that process, because it can get a little tedious, but it is the same background check and fingerprint. We require a drug screen and a TB test. Those happen at Care Now, and we can help you find the closest one to you. The same waivers and the duty to report, and then our statement of faith, so that you can know truthfully what we believe and what we are instilling in our homes here at Christ Haven. And then about 20 hours, sometimes a little bit more, of in-person and online training. So some of that happens in office here with us, where you learn our specific policies. Some of that happens online, where you're getting to learn things like trauma-informed care and our trust-based relational intervention techniques for behavior management. how to prevent and identify signs of abuse, things of that nature. It's really, really good training and really helpful. And it will help you feel like you're stepping into this with an understanding of the world that we're in and how you can help these kiddos. And it's the same contact for this. If you're interested in being a backup caregiver, please reach out to Jamie. Again, here's her email, and we'll send all this out at the end. I always say backup caregivers are so, so important, because being a house parent, just like being a foster parent, or a parent in general, it's a full-time 24/7 all the time job, but we don't always have the flexibility of being able to step away when there's a need in your family or something of that nature, because we can't leave our kiddos with just anybody. We have to have people go through extensive training to make sure that there are people who are equipped and safe for our kids who live here at Christ Haven to be around. So thank you so much. And I think we're going to go into mentors and house sponsors now with Summer.
Awesome. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for sharing. And I love hearing all of the ways to be involved. Just like babysitting and backup caregiving is helping a household and our house parents, mentoring really is that one-on-one relationship with a child or teenager. You really get to know that child and they really get to know you. Just like Matthew was talking about, you know, he started off with just coming and playing basketball, playing pool, you know, doing the things that the kids are interested in. You create that relationship and that safety. Now they feel comfortable saying, hey, could you help me with this situation that I'm going through? Some ways right here that in youth will encounter that way youth will mentor the kids, you know, it increases high school graduation rates. You have another adult in your corner as a child or teenager who will fight for you, who helps you understand what those next stages in life look like, you know, a healthier relationship and lifestyle choices. You get to model that for kids. Enhance self-esteem and self-confidence. That is a big one, especially for our kids, knowing that they've come from a situation that they had no reason as to why that situation's happening to them. It's not their fault. And then coming and seeing what a healthy, self-confident adult looks like is just life-changing for these kids. Improvement in interpersonal skills, right? Learning how to talk to a teacher. That is something that our kids may or may not have ever seen in a healthy way. Telling another adult no. Telling them yes, deciding boundaries for themselves. You know, mentors really, really help children understand that. Let's see, decrease, oh, this one's my favorite, decrease likelihood of drugs and alcohol use, right? We don't want we want good things for our kids. And so again, that mentorship, you get to model that. And in all stages of life, right? So mentoring, we do get with you and ask you, hey, you know, what kind of match are you looking for? Are you comfortable with teenagers? Are you more comfortable with younger kids? We want every child on our campus to have a mentor. So we get with you as an adult relationship, and we say, hey, this is going to be a partnership. Let's discuss what you are interested in. We do have a high demand for males. We have several females, which is fantastic. It's great. But we do have young men on our campus as well that need that male role model in their life. We do hope that this is a friendship, that this grows even beyond Christ Haven. Our kids' reunification is one of our main goals. We want that to happen. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, we would love for that mentor to continue mentoring that child even when they go home. We want it to be a lifetime friendship between adult and child and then grow with them. Requirements, yes, this is a voluntary position. We do not pay mentors to be mentors. We would like for you to get a background check, fingerprinting, signing the waivers, completing mentorship questionnaire, Provide proof of car insurance, because you can take our kids off campus. Being a mentor, you can even take them on vacation, which is like one of their favorite things to do, is to go and see fun things, experience fun events that they may or may not ever experience. An example is right there in that photo with the cute little girl and her mentor. They went to a baseball game, taking them out, and just doing fun things, right? That's really how you start relationships. When you think about, how did I become a friend to this person? Well, you had things in common and you start doing those things. And sure enough, they start asking personal questions and they really, really, really want to know what you think. Let's see. Home visit for Christ Haven. Yes, so they can come to your house, they can eat dinner with you, they can stay over for extended periods of time. So with that, we do need to make sure that your household is safe. There are requirements by the state and Children's Home that in homes you need to know, right? But again, that's deeper into it. We can definitely go over what those things are. If you're interested in being a mentor, Dan Franks is over that mentor, the mentor process. Dan at christhaven.org. I don't know if you've seen the theme, but it's our first name at christhaven.org. So if you remember Dan, he is over our mentorship program. Next, I'll be discussing house sponsors. We saved this one for the last because this one is very unique, and it is individualized per group, per family, per person, based on what you are interested in doing. This really provides a way to, how I kind of phrase it is, if you really, really, really want to get to know a mom and a dad, our house parents, and their family, this is the sponsorship for you. If you want to have that personal relationship with everyone in the household, house sponsor is the way to go. This can be for corporate groups, for church groups, for individuals, for families, for couples. I mean, really, the sky's the limit as to who wants to get involved with this. There are two ways to be a house sponsor. The first one is financial support. And then the second one is volunteering your time. So for financial support, that can be funding activities for the family to do, taking them to Six Flags or walking around the mall and buying ice cream, really being involved in that family. Money is always something that comes up, right? So purchasing a meal for the house, maybe once a month you buy them pizza and they have a cool Friday night pizza night. Monthly contribution for utilities. So we do spend money on water and electricity. Helping out with that is really awesome. The fun stuff is purchasing back to school items, right? Taking them back to school shopping, buying school supplies. We do offer summer camps, or we would love to have our kids in all of the summer camps, right? That does come with a cost, and helping the kids with that, whether it be buying sleeping bags or the items needed for camp or the camp itself. Birthdays, gift cards, parties. So everyone has a birthday. If in that month, so-and-so's having a birthday, you could throw a birthday party for them, whether it be buying tickets to Altitude and the kid and their friends can all go to Altitude, getting a birthday cake, buying birthday gifts, anything like that to support the families in the financial aspects. A lot of our kids are in sports, band, dance, different things like that, helping provide the funds for those fun things, those childhood things that you look back on and remember, oh yeah, I did ballet. That was the coolest time. Or I learned how to play guitar. Helping financially with those things. And then the other way is to be involved volunteer style, right? So we just talked about the babysitting, backup caregiving. Those are fantastic. So you could be that house parent's phone call. Dan, we use that example, right? Dan and his wife, their daughter just had a baby. You could be that person they call and say, hey, she had the baby. Could you come over and watch the kids for a few hours so both of us could go up there? Learning our house parents' name and their kids' names, right? Having that relationship with that home that you could be their primary. If anything happens, they can give you a call and rely on you to help out. And this is where having those groups involved is amazing, right? So if you're a church group and you have a small group of 5 people, well, that's 5 families that our family can now call on and say, hey, this or that, we've got a birthday coming up. Could you take place? Could you participate? Could you come help watch the kids, manage this big birthday party? Let's see, household helps like preparing meals, laundry. Oh my gosh, I hate laundry and I only have a family of 4. I can't even imagine what laundry is like for a family of 10, but scheduling a Monday afternoon saying, hey, I've got this Monday off. I would love to come over and help you with laundry. 1 hour, 2 hours, however long. I don't know how long it takes to do 10 people's worth of laundry, but I'm sure any little bit of help is helpful for our house parents. Home projects, right? If you have a skill, I'm very handy with tools. So an example would be me coming over and building something, building a playhouse, helping paint the kitchen cabinets, right? That's extensive, but very, very helpful. And to get a fresh paint, fresh coat of paint in your house I love it. But helping out with that, spending time with kids in the house, right? Just like babysitting, backup caregiving, come over for dinner, come hang out with our families. But those are just some ways to get involved as house sponsors. Now, depending on which way you want to get involved, financially, volunteer, maybe a little bit of both, the requirements will be different. But the first one is meeting our house parents. Come meet our house parents. See if you get along with them, right? We have all ages for house parents. I think 25 is our youngest, all the way up to 60s. So if you fall in one of those categories and you're like, oh yeah, I understand what it's like to be a 25-year-old mom to a family of 8, then, maybe coming over and helping with laundry. Maybe you can help take on that grandmother, grandfather side, right? Come over and be the cool aunt and bring a bunch of candy and then take them all out to the playground so mom can have that time to bond with her own kids or do the laundry. Let's see. Complete volunteer application. That is required for all volunteer opportunities, both advanced and basic. It is online. Again, we'll send out links, so you do not have to memorize any of this stuff, but we do have a volunteer application online. You need to attend an info session. Just like this is an info session about specific items, we have one for broad stuff. Just like Kelly mentioned at the very beginning, this info session, learning about Christ Haven in general, could take up to an hour. We have online ones like Zoom info sessions, and we have in-person lunch and learns. Those ones are great because you get fed. So definitely come to the in-person lunch and learn. Monthly check-in or calls, right? We want this to be a relationship. If something's going on your end or something's going on our end, we want to have that conversation. We want to be open, transparent. We want to learn what's working for you, what's working for our house parents, and just continuing that. We do require those who are spending time with our kids who are ages 14 and older to have a background check. With that background check, for those who are 14 and older, that is if you're bringing your kids, like let's say you have a 16-year-old who wants to be involved with being a house sponsor, that child will need a background check. Really, anyone 14 and older who will be around our kids required a background check. We have needs for multiple house sponsors. Yes, and the more the merrier. Like Kelly said again in the beginning, if you have heard all of this and you have someone in mind, share this with them. We want to get as many house sponsors as possible. Jamie Kraft is over our house parent or our house sponsors. It's Jamie at christhaven.org. She's super sweet, and I know you'll see her face here in a little bit, as well as Dan Franks. But that is all I have as far as house sponsors. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly.
All right. Thank you, Summer and Maddie. So we've got about 15 minutes left. We're going to definitely have time at the end for questions. So now's a good time to start typing in those questions if you've got some. So you heard about all the different volunteer opportunities. So now you might be asking, okay, what's next? What do I do? So I want to just ask if that's you, before anything, before any emails or anything like that, really take some time to reflect, to pray, to discern that tug is that you're feeling, what that interest is, kind of where your heart is to supporting the kids at Christ Haven, and then really assessing and reflecting what you feel is a realistic commitment that you can provide. The last thing we want to do is create any kind of disappointments or more disappointment for the kids that live here. They've had a lot of people in their lives. Their lives have been turned upside down at times, and they're living somewhere not with their family. So we want to make sure that people that we bring into their lives are people that are going to put them first, meet them where these kids are, and understand their needs are always going to be priority in this relationship. So we just ask any volunteers who are interested in this level of commitment to make sure you're kind of doing some of that reflection, prayer, and discerning as far as what your level of commitment can be. All that to say, we know that life happens, things get busy, there's fluctuations in times and commitments, and that is completely understandable. But we just don't want to set them up for disappointment, if that makes sense. So again, on this follow-up email, you're going to get lots of links, lots of emails. You're going to get a lot of information, but on that will be the volunteer application. And like Summer mentioned, any type of volunteering at Christ Haven always starts with that first initial application. And then we'll be following up on some of those specifics. And I'm about to share some of the contact again. So if you've got a pen and paper ready, if you're wanting to grab it now, I'm going to show you who, again, you would follow up with for different questions. So if it's just a general volunteering question, you can start with Summer Woods, our volunteer manager. Early on, she talked about some of those basic screening volunteer opportunities. So you might have questions about those as well, which we'd love to have you here for those. And it's always kind of a good way to start also. So that's summer@christhaven.org. If you are interested in mentors specifically, Dan the man, we call him sometimes, who is one of our senior case managers and also a house parent. He is the staff person who facilitates that program for mentors. So he's Dan@christhaven.org. And then Jamie Kraft is also one of our senior case managers, and she is a wealth of information about Christ Haven. She's been here, gosh, I think 12 years now working here. So an expert on all things Christ Haven. She can answer your questions, talk to you about being a babysitter, being a backup caregiver, or being a house sponsor. And then I am a marketing person, so I just have to take this opportunity to share and ask for you to follow us on social media. And not only because that just would make me happy, but also it just gives you a kind of an ongoing glimpse and look into Christ Haven. Try to share a variety of things, volunteer opportunities, way you can donate and sponsor for sure. You're going to always see those because those are critical to what we do. But then just some kind of inside look into what life is like at Christ Haven. Picture I posted yesterday was about one of our teenagers who's on the high school basketball team. And I was able to snag a really great picture of her with one of her house parents and just talk about what it means for her to have somebody in the stands cheering for her at her basketball game, which is a great example. That could be you. That could be volunteers as well. That could be a mentor. Someone who's been a babysitter, backup caregiver, house sponsor also. So follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. So now I'm going to stop the share of the screen. And this is when we're going to get to ask and answer some of your questions. So if you haven't already, please put those in. I'll facilitate some of those questions, and then whichever staff member whoever is the best person to answer it. So we've got about 10 minutes. We're right on time, which is great. One of the questions that I'll give this to Dan or Jamie, whoever wants to cover it, but talking about, Dan, if you don't mind starting this, because I'm thinking it's maybe mainly with mentoring. If I'm interested in being a mentor, I have my own children. As a mentor, can my kids come with me as a mentor? And Dan, you're muted if you want to unmute yourself, please. go.
There we go. Hey everyone, I'm Dan. Yeah, that question comes up a lot. So the answer is yes, of course you can bring your own kids. We do want to keep the focus of y'all's outings or time together about you and the mentee. But overall, absolutely yes, you can bring your kids. That'd be great.
Wonderful. Anything to add, anybody else, about having your own kids with you as far as being a house sponsor, babysitter, backup caregiver? I know one thing we have to pay
Yeah,
attention.
I can answer that a little bit on the babysitter end and the backup caregiver. It is, of course, you can bring your kids as well. There are ratio. And so if you're interested in that, we can, again, talk more about that. If you think you may want to do babysitting or backup caregiving, and bring your kids to that, we can definitely talk about that. It is as okay as long as it's okay with the ratio. We do follow that through the state. We have guidelines and stuff. So definitely a possibility, and we can chat more about that.
Awesome. Okay, another question that's come in. What if, I think Maddie kind of alluded to this too, some people who maybe they've been part of fostering before, or they've done something similar, and they've done prior background check, prior training, prior fingerprinting. Can any of that carry over?
Yeah, that's a great question too. We have had several people that have been foster parents currently, and they want to get involved with us. And so we love that. If you have done some of the trainings that we require because you are a foster parent, as long as it's been done within the last year, we can go ahead and accept that and to get started. So you wouldn't have to redo that. Now with the background checks, it is a little bit different. We do require that everybody do the background check through Christ Haven, because on a lot of these advanced screening opportunities, we do have to have the fingerprints. And so, we can get into that once you're, more involved, if that's something you're really looking forward to doing. But the background check would have to be done through us, and the fingerprints. But the trainings, of course, if you have some of these trainings that you've already completed within the last year, I would love to be able, because a lot of that comes to me anyways, I can take a look at that, make sure that it's within the requirements, and I would love to be able to accept that and not have to make you do that again. Great question.
And Jamie, kind of a follow-up on that, do you want to share about kind of the length of time a lot of this takes as far as getting set up? Because all these things kind of have to be done before you're there with a kiddo, and kind of and a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a process, just to be transparent about that. And so like Summer said, we have to have that volunteer application first. So that's kind of your initial step. A lot of times people will contact Summer, and then before this webinar, hopefully we'll get, a lot of you guys interest from the webinar, but a lot of times they contact Summer, and then she forwards them to our children's services team with Dan and Maddie and I. And then we will contact you more once you have an interest, like maybe, right up front, I want to do mentorship, then we'll get you right in with Dan. Or if it's backup caregiver, or if it's a house sponsor, she would typically forward that to us. And so it's just as quick as you can go. Some people we understand you're working parents, you have a lot going on, just like all of us do. And so it's really as quick as you can go. We will try to be in constant communication as quickly as possible. It is training depending on which route you want to go. There are different levels of training. Overall, it can probably be done within a few weeks for some people, just as quick as you can go. It may take a month or more just to get all your training done, because it's at your pace, getting all that paperwork in and stuff. So the background check typically takes a few days depending on when it's entered in. And then the fingerprints and getting all the trainings done. So fairly quick. We would like to meet with you. And then of course, with certain things, meeting with the house parents as well. So trying to schedule a time depending on if you are a working parent, if you're a stay-at-home parent, however that goes. So it can vary. So don't feel bad. Sometimes the process takes a little bit longer for some people, and sometimes it's really quick. It really just depends on your family situation and how quick we can get that going. And I just wanted to say we're super appreciative to all you guys for helping. I always like to say Christ Haven runs not just because of the staff that we have there, but we rely a lot on our donors and our volunteers that help us so much. And so we're just very appreciative for you to even attend the webinar. And if you're thinking about it and praying about it, we're just so thankful for you.
Most definitely. It's a big step just being here. And so we're just thrilled that you're here. And by signing up, you'll be on our email list. And so you'll hopefully start to kind of learn more about Christ Haven and things that happen and kind of what days and years look like here. So there might be seasons of your life that give you a little bit more flexibility to be more involved. And so hopefully you've heard that over and over, that there is flexibility. All of this is very individualized. It's not this super structured framework that's that is hard to kind of fit in your life. I mean, all of us have demands, jobs, kids of our own. So we just kind of make it work. And really, like we've said over and over, just meet those kids where they are and just provide that connection and relationship for the kids at Christ Haven and the house parents. That's ultimately what is most important and why we're all here. I think we've covered all the questions of everybody on the call. Is there anything else that we've missed that you might want to add to the conversation to make sure is heard? Everyone's covered everything great? Wow. Well, this is easy. Look, we've got 4 minutes to spare. Right on time. Oh, we've got one more question. Oh, it's just a thank you. Thank you, Amy. We appreciate you being here. So on that note, I think we're going to end things, but just a reminder, you will get a follow-up email. It might be a couple of days for us to pull everything together. You'll get a link to this recording. You'll get all the contact information, and you'll get all of these details as far as what the requirements are for each of the different volunteer opportunities. Again, if right now is not the right time, we hope you'll save this to when there is a good time for you or your family to be involved. But all of us here love what we do, love getting to be part of this this hope that we're providing for the kids at Christ Haven. And I am convinced that you would enjoy it as well. And we would love to have you part of the journey as well. So thanks so much for taking time out of your day. And we hope that you will be in touch soon. Have a great rest of your day.